Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Look here. Cheryl don't even know the dangers that she's in. Her father's a piece of crap. Period. Point blank. Period. Point blank. Now, she's over to this dope boy's house because she's trying to, rendezvous with her little boyfriend, that she's met in the VG at a prison, right? And she likes him. And her father, trying to get out of dope debt, tells the dope boy that, your son can have my daughter. Listen to me. Your son can have my daughter. That's what he told him. So the dope boy, even though he's in the streets and all this and that, right, he pissed off about that. He don't like that. And he tells him, he said, what are you saying, man? What kind of person do you think I am? He's like, no, it ain't like that. It's just that, I need to pay you and this is the only way that I had to pay you. He said, no, your daughter ain't got nothing to do with that. And I'm not finna put my son in that like that. They ain't got nothing to do with what we're doing. Get my money or we gonna have a problem. So he tells me, he said, I'm gonna get your money. I just need some time. He said, you ain't got no more time. He said, if you don't have my money by the count time tonight, they gonna deal with you. I'm not finna play with you. So he said, I'll have your money. So Billy calls his parents and he asks them for the money. They don't have it. They're tapped out until payday. So he goes to the guys that knows, the dope boy that's the father of the boy that his daughter Cheryl likes. And he tells them, look, can you wait till payday? They tell him, no. You got until tonight, man, or you're gonna get dealt with. So, guess what? He goes to a rival gang that's in the penitentiary. He asked them, because they loan money, they loan sharking, right? Because a lot of hustlers up in the penitentiary, everybody trying to get their bread, you feel me? So he goes to them and he asked them, could he borrow some money? Now, keep in mind, loan sharking is just as dangerous as dope dealing in the penitentiary. Because if you don't pay that money, and the interest is high. I'm talking about, boy, they worse than Visa and MasterCard. I'm telling you now, interest high, man. Interest is high. You know what I'm saying? It's 2 for 1. Now, he ain't got the money to pay the original debt. And his parents said they could help him out on payday, but he gonna have to ask them for twice as much as what he's finna pay now. And between then and now, between now and then, rather, he's still gonna be getting high. So he borrows the money and agrees to pay it back. He tells them when and all this and that. He makes sure it's lined up with his father and all that old kind of stuff. He makes sure everything is straight. And what happens is that his father pays the money, but now he got some more dope debts. And his father gets tired and cuts him off. He said, hey, no more. He said, you're breaking us. I can't keep doing this. Can't even pay the bills at the house. And he yells at his father, tells his father that, he needs him and how you going to leave me out here like it and all this and that, because he knows what's going to happen to him if he don't pay this bill. So he goes back. He goes back to the dope boy, the ones that's loan sharking, the gang members, and he asks them, can he borrow some more money? And they tell him, yeah, 2 for 1, but you better be able to pay it. He ain't got no way to pay this money, but he got to pay the dope off so he can keep getting high. So he pays it off. Now he owed his money coming around. He keeps getting high. And he does what a lot of people in here do. He runs to the administration and he called protective custody because he can't pay his bills. But see, when he ran to protective custody, tried to get on protective custody, he didn't know that one of the officers that was in the building when he came to check in was in cahoots with the gang members that's loaning money out and with the gang members that's hustling and getting their bread by that selling that work. You feel me? He didn't know that. So before he left, this particular officer came and he told the gang members what was going on. Right? Told him that he was trying to run, not pay his bill. And he done gave up names and everything, right? So they gonna come get them later on after they lock him up. Now they pissed about this. So they get him. And when I say they get him, they got him, y'all. When they got him, they hit him so many times, he couldn't even run no more. He was crawling dragging himself trying to get to the door, leaving a trail of blood behind him on the floor. You feel me? Oh yeah, it was real. And when he collapsed right there at the door, look here, the police had to open the door and push the door in without, you know what I'm saying, hurting him. They didn't know what his state of health was at that particular time. So when they finally got in, they drug him and pulled him out into the hallway. They got the gurney, they put him on the gurney, they take him out to the hospital. Uh-oh, time to call his people. Time to call his people. And when they called his people, they told him, look, it don't look good. It don't look good. He's in surgery right now. We'll let you know. The doctors come out, tell the officers. And let me tell you something. When you're in the penitentiary, it ain't like your family can be waiting in the hallway and all this and that, right? No, it's the police. So they came out and they tell the police that he didn't make it. First thing they did, they called the prison and let the prison know he didn't make it. They didn't call his parents first. They called the prison first so they can make sure they get the count right. Imagine that. That's what's important to them. So then they got permission from the warden, and then the warden told him that he would take care of it, and he told the chaplain at the prison to call and let them know what was going on and that he didn't make it, and they needed to make arrangements to claim the body. And when the chaplain called the parents and he told his mother and father what had happened, it broke them down. It broke them down. But see, in an odd way, even though they were sad and heartbroken that their son was gone, in an odd way they felt some kind of relief, because now at least he would be at peace. He would be at peace. And now they had the hard job of trying to figure out the words to say to his daughter Cheryl, how to let her know. Now see, because she had gone back home with her mother, and after spending a good weekend down there in the with her grandparents, and now they had to call and let her know that her dad was gone. They didn't know the details yet, but they were just going to let her know that something had happened in the prison. So when they called, they was talking to Teresa and telling her about it, and she was hurt. She was grieved by it. She was grieved by it, and she cried. She cried, and she tried to find the words to tell Cheryl, but it was hard. It was hard. So she settled down finally, and she had called, you know what I'm saying, and told Terrence, because Terrence had moved down there into the same state and city that she was in. She had called him and asked him, could he come over, you know what I'm saying, and help her, with this conversation that she was going to have with Cheryl. And he came over, and when she sat Cheryl down and she was talking to her, it was hard. It was hard. She loved her daddy. And when she told her what happened, oh man, she just had a fit. She started screaming, crying, hugging her mom, and she just reverted back to being that little baby. And she was squeezing her mom, and she was like, why? What happened? What happened? And her mom was telling her she didn't know, but she was going to find out. She was going to find out what happened to him so she would know. She said, but for right now, she needed her to be strong. And because the next few days were going to be hard, because she was waiting on the arrangements for the funeral and all this and that, and so she was going to have to go down, and it's going to be hard for Cheryl. So that next week they went down for the funeral, and everything went as well as can be expected. But they started to notice very quickly that Cheryl wasn't the same. She wasn't the same. She had been with that little boy, and she felt as though he loved her. She felt it. She felt it. And now she felt like she was all alone. And she had her parents and Terrence and her grandparents, but she loved her daddy. She loved her daddy. And this little boy knew the truth about her daddy, but he never told her. And not at this point anyway. He didn't want her to know that. He didn't want her to know that. But it's a lot more to this story. You're going to have to tune in if you want to know how this thing plays out, right? It's going to get better and better. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.
I'm getting so